Does desensitization affect views on torture? Have you ever thought about how repeated exposure to something can change the way we feel about it? This idea is especially important when we talk about torture. Desensitization is the process where people become less sensitive to a stimulus after seeing it many times. In the case of torture, this can change how individuals or societies view its moral acceptability. When people are repeatedly exposed to images or stories about torture, their emotional reactions can lessen. This means that feelings like empathy or outrage might fade away. As a result, opposition to torture can weaken. This emotional numbing can happen to survivors of torture as a way to cope, but it can also affect society as a whole. When people become less emotionally responsive, it can change collective attitudes toward torture. From an ethical viewpoint, the wrongness of torture does not rely solely on our emotional responses. Many ethical theories, like deontological ethics, argue that torture is wrong regardless of the outcomes or feelings involved. It violates basic moral duties and respect for human dignity. On the other hand, utilitarian perspectives might look at the consequences of torture. However, desensitization can cloud judgment, making it harder to see the harm and suffering that torture causes. Looking at torture from a cross-cultural perspective reveals that different societies have varying beliefs about its acceptability. Moral relativism and pluralism show that norms about torture can differ widely. In some cultures, desensitization may normalize torture, especially if it is justified by security concerns. This normalization can weaken universal ethical standards that condemn torture as a violation of human rights. Recognizing how desensitization affects views on torture is important. It highlights the need for moral awareness and education. Maintaining a clear ethical stance is essential to resist the acceptance of torture. It is crucial to address not just the act of torture itself, but also the social and psychological factors that may lessen opposition to it. In summary, desensitization can indeed affect views on torture by reducing emotional responses and softening moral opposition. However, ethical principles based on human dignity and rights reminded us that torture is inherently wrong, regardless of psychological effects. Understanding this relationship helps us navigate the complex moral landscape surrounding torture.